Beautiful humans, welcome back to the I Like Birds podcast. I'm your host, Zach Rippey, and this podcast is dedicated to the non-believers, the confused believers, and the true believers. Because I, at one time or another, was all three. So I'm here to help you get a better understanding of who Jesus is and what he's all about. I'd love to grow in our faith together. You learn as I learn. I like the Bible, and I like words, so therefore, I like birds. Let's start the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the I Like Birds podcast. I'm your host, Zach Rippey, and on this episode, we're discussing the events that took place this weekend. It was a powerful weekend, one where God was shining big in my life and in the people around me, their life as well. And it's an episode that I actually ask you to please listen to its entirety. One, to really just be in a focused mindset when you're listening. And if this is actually your first time here to the I Like Birds podcast, welcome. I'm so excited to hear you actually picked a deep episode. We're a little bit off the book today as far as being in the Word. We're talking about just a lot of just real stuff that happened this weekend that I think you're really going to like to hear about. And I'm going to be honest, man, all the episodes are deep. We talk Jesus, we talk life, we talk growth, faith, and love. Let's get to it. So this past Sunday was a special one. God was moving big all weekend. Sunday was the confirmed realization that God is doing something through me, something special through me. And if it's not through me, at least he's moving so big around me and I get to see it and I get to tell you guys about it. And before I tell you about it, I need to give you some inside baseball that my wife has. My wife's name is Catherine, and she has 6 biological siblings and 3 adopted siblings. So a lot of kids in the family. So when I say sister-in-law, there's a lot of them, okay? So the one that I'm going to be talking about right now is named Abigail. And she's special to me, man. She's like 7 years younger than Catherine. And so she's 20 right now. And she's the only one in her family of 10 that looks a little bit like Catherine. So I've always just kind of saw her as the little sister of the family, you know? And then when I met Catherine 5 years ago, she was still kind of a kid, you know, in the teenage years. So I always saw her as the young little sister of the family, right? And she still is. Well, fast forward 5 years of being with Catherine, Abigail's now grown. She's 20 years old. She's a mature 20-year-old, but she's still 20 and is going through some 20-year-old mistakes like we all do, or 19-year-old mistakes, 18-year-old mistakes. Trust me, I made a lot of mistakes at 18, 19, and 20, right? And it just feels, when you make those mistakes, you just don't know the other side of it, so it just feels kind of heavier when you're 20. Like, you don't know if you're doing the right thing in life. You have that pressure of your parents still, the pressure of the world of like, man, am I doing enough? And man, she's brilliant. She's brilliant though, man. And she's the type of smart that knows exactly when to be quiet. And I wrote this in my notes. It says, it takes a smart woman to know what to say, but it takes a wise woman to know when to be silent. That's good, right? I had to get nerdy on you guys. But here's the truth, man. I'll break it down. She's been going through some heavy stuff in the last 2 years of me living here in Texas, right? And I'm kind of the grapevine who hears what's going on. And I'm the grapevine who studies people and thinks about how they may be feeling when I'm around them. You know, I'm a vibe catcher. You know, I'm like, hey, wonder what that person's thinking. Let me stare at them for a second and figure it out, right? I'm a weirdo, whatever. But she's been at church with us the last 4 out of 5 weeks. And part of that is because of me and Catherine going there. And if I didn't do what I did a few, maybe 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, something like that, if I didn't do what I did and get baptized there, they may have never found their way through the door, right? Everybody squatted up. They were all there. It was great. And now the entire family's heart is moving for this church, for more about Jesus, for more about how to live for him. Like my sister-in-law, Sharon, the one that was adopted from Uganda, she's so great. She's 17 right now. She's going through life right now with God, and she's trying to stay in his word and stay doing his calling for her life and just being at the church, you know? So she's done youth night. She's done prayer night. She's done a small group. She's just getting plugged in. You can tell people are starting to know who she is. People are showing her love. She's getting that genuine love from the church right now. And it's just great because you can see that God is putting people in her life to kind of lift her spirits of and maybe potentially gaining some friendships out of it, some genuine friendships. And that's something she needs, and that's something she craves, and that's something that she's been praying for. And God is opening that door right now. I can just feel it moving. My niece Ava has been plugged in there. She's been going to the youth nights as well. And my mother-in-law is interested in getting more plugged in. Me and Catherine are definitely going to start volunteering our time there a little bit more often. I'm going to the men's Bible study on Wednesday nights. I'm going to the youth night this Tuesday. Like, we're getting plugged in, right? And let me tell you that. So I tell you that to tell you this. And that's what we want as followers of Christ. We need more people to know and do the calling of God in their lives. Like, my in-laws may have brought the food, brought the education, brought the hope to hundreds of African children's lives in Uganda with the Subi project that they started, the nonprofit. But she may have done all that. My mother-in-law may have done all that. My father-in-law may have done all that. But if you ask them, I guarantee you they tell you that God did that. God did that. God gets the credit, not them, right? And that's the way we live when we're kingdom seekers, right? When we're living for Jesus, Jesus gets the credit, right? I'll give you even deeper of an example than that. So we're in church on Sunday. Here we go. We're heating up, guys. This is where you really got to listen because it gets good. It's already been good, but we're getting even better, all right? We're in the church on Sunday, right? The music is playing. The worship is happening. The praise is on fire. The Spirit of God is moving in the building. In the building of a day where, man, people are probably excited just to go home and watch football, but nope, the Spirit said, not today, Jack. Not today. We're gonna get in it. We're gonna get in it first before football. Don't worry about the world. Worry about God. Just like our last episode. Live for God, don't live for the world. Don't worry about football. Who cares if you missed the first quarter, baby? We in church, right? Anyway, the song Champion came on, and it's playing by Bethel, is who wrote it. If you're interested in the song Champion, I think we recommended it once at the end of one of the podcasts here. Go check it out if you haven't after the show. Champion by Bethel, right? So that song is playing, and it's just a powerful one, right? One where the guy that sings it with his chest, right? And the room was lit on fire with energy and just a feeling. And then Pastor Tommy, man, he went on stage and he blasted the Holy Spirit into the room even more and asked if anyone is ready today to give their life to Christ in this moment right now. Does anybody want to be baptized in the name of the Lord? Lift your hand if that's you. Lift your hand right now if you're ready to give your life to Jesus. Put it up. Put it up if you want to give your life to Jesus right now. And then I look over to the left, and then the first hand raised, boom, and it felt like a punch in the heart, right? I was like, ooh. And then a second hand raised right next to her, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, are they about to do like a baptism out of nowhere? Off the cuff, off the script. Like, how dope is that, dude? It was so insane. And then a woman from the east side of the building, threw her hands up next. And I don't really know if it was the east side of the building, but I just wanted to say east side of the building in this story. And I was watching the room. It's lighting on fire. Everybody's clapping and praising and getting so hyped for these people that raise their hands. Because, man, when you get baptized, your life changes, all right? So, boom, everything's happening so fast. I'm feeling good. And then, bam, I see my little sister, Abigail, heading to that stage. Going to the stage. And I cried like a baby. I looked at Catherine, and we're both just crying hard. I'm holding Malachi. Malachi's just being a trooper, like low-key kind of hugging me. And it was like one of those cries that you can't really hold back no matter how much you fight it. And the one that you just have to pour out. And it was just crazy, man, because it was a moment where God showed me himself in a way that he's never showed me him before. And it was miraculous. It's the growth of your walk with God that is so special, guys. It is the faith journey. There's no end solution. There's no like one day I'll know it all about God. Knowing and discovering something new about the Lord, that is so good, so loving, and so powerful, and gives you so much purpose to live and see another day and do another day for him. God saved 5 souls that morning. He changed 5 lives in that 30-minute worship session. And it's crazy because the enemy intervened just like he did with mine. If you listen to my episode about my baptism experience, the enemy intervened, tried to make it not happen for our family, right? Because our connections pastor was up there with that, right? And he did 4 baptisms in a row. 4, boom, 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 boom. And then I maybe did an extra boom, but he was up there and he was mistaken. He said, "That's it. There's no more baptism." And then they were moving on. Tommy was moving on. But then like me and Catherine looked at each other. The family looked at each other. Like we saw Abigail go up there, right? And the suspense that was felt of us being like, wait, there's one more. So we just started, I don't know if it was we or me, but we just started shouting, "There's one more." And then Dustin was like, "Hey, Tommy," like from above, because it was like in an upper level of behind the stage. It was like above the stage, just north above the stage. And so Dustin was up there saying, "Hey, hey," and like trying to interrupt and whatnot. And then I'm screaming, "There's one more." It was just truly amazing. And it was, the suspense made it that much more real. And then, man, as soon as she came up for air after being baptized, I thought, yo, this is day 1 for you. Everything you did in these last few years that were tough and mistakes and regret and just youth adolescence and all that, everything in between, all that is washed away. All that was washed away on Sunday. God not only forgives sin, he forgets sin when you get baptized in the Holy Spirit. She has a chance to just do life for God for real now. With action now. Not just by listening to this pod, not just by going to church on Sundays, not by just saying you rock with Jesus, but with action now. With pursuit of God, not a pursuit of the world. The world won't give you a quarter of what God can give you. So Abigail, if you're listening, I know you're a fan of the show, and I'll probably just message you the show and be like, "Hey, said some things about you," and I don't know, but you'll probably hear this one. But I hope you believe these words I'm telling you, because God not only forgives, he forgets. And with that being said, I want you, me, and everybody that's listening to know that we must not remind him of this sin. Once we repent, once we ask forgiveness, and especially once we're baptized in the Holy Spirit and we're giving our life to Jesus again in a public way like that, that washes away. We don't need to keep reminding him, like when we're praying and when we're thinking of stuff and when we're hard on ourselves about who we were. That doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter who I used to be anymore. It doesn't. It matters from the time I got baptized till the end, baby. And you now get a chance to get all those heavy thoughts out, all those burdens, all those insecurities, and bring in the heavier thoughts of God, the better thoughts of God, which is good vibes only. You can take all those crappy thoughts you've been having and that regret, that guilt, whatever you may have been going through, and you can replace those thoughts now because you know that he forgave those sins and you're good. You're Gucci, baby, which is good vibes only. And that's like the thoughts we need to be having about God. Real love only, clarity, purpose, peace, all obtainable and given from having a relationship with him. And if it hasn't happened yet, if you haven't felt that way yet since Sunday, and since maybe you listening been baptized, then guess what? Your day 1 starts when you say it does, which very well could be today if it wasn't on Sunday or when you got baptized or when you fell in love with Jesus and said you're going to follow him. If you've had some rocky days or weeks of just living for the world, get back to it, baby. Day 1. Let's go. Do it not like a challenge, but challenge yourself of getting back with God. He's always ready for you. Isn't it crazy how much like God is there for us all day, and like how little do we talk to him? How little do we like make time for him? And he's still so good. He's still like, "Hey, you gave me a little bit of time today. I got you." And guys, this is getting even heavier, but after a brilliant message from Pastor Tommy. So let's keep in mind, this day is already like, oh my gosh, what a story, what an experience, right? The Spirit began moving in my favorite worship song ever, which is called Rattle by Elevation. Rattle by Elevation. Check it out. It slaps. All right. And they played it at the end of the service. They played the song live at my church for the first time on a day my family member got baptized randomly. Tell me God ain't good. She didn't make it a day of it like I did, right? Abigail didn't make it like, oh, come on out, get the whole family together, dress up, have your mom in town. Like, I made it a thing because, I'm pursuing ministry and, I don't know, I'm extra like that. Like, let's ball out, make it a day, right? Which is terrible. It's not terrible. It's just who I am, which is totally fine. I am who you say I am, God, right? But she didn't make it that way, and I don't think she planned to get baptized. She did it in the moment, which was like so cool, and I was so proud of her. Like, I could not believe she did that because like that takes, I don't know what that takes. I think it just takes, you know what I think it is? I just think Jesus pulled her out of that seat and got her to go upstairs with a stranger and get dunked underwater because Jesus is dope. And I think Abigail knows that. I think he's been working on her. She listens to the show. I think she's been trying to find her way back to God for some time. And so while playing Rattle, dude, you guys got to look up that song, by the way. While playing Rattle, Tommy came back after the second chorus. And I'm like, what's going to happen this time? I'm like, oh, he's coming back again. And he intervened with another incredible moment and asked if anyone is ready to give their life to the Lord and this is day one for them, come to the altar. Come to the altar, and then they're playing the song. And then I'm my other sister-in-law. I got to tell you guys this. All right, here we go. All right. Second part of the story that's so good. My other sister-in-law. First time in church in maybe years. First time in a church in maybe years. Her name is Victoria. She's going through a separation that seems like it's going to be a divorce. But instead of being mad at God, she chose to turn to God and came to the church. And at surface level, it looked like she was kind of coming to be a part of the family since she's been in another city for a few years. Like, that's kind of what I thought when I saw her there. But I was like, hey, I'm glad she's in here, right? But when I thought about it more as the service went on and things were happening the way they were happening, I was like, what a thing to show somebody for their first time at church in years. We were squatted up. The music was incredible. The message was incredible. The spirit was in the room. And I thought about it more and I said, no, she's here for God. And as Tommy was doing his altar call, I shut my eyes and I prayed hard, y'all. Like hard, like squeezing my hand hard. And after repeating my prayer, isn't it funny that we repeat prayers like we think God is so small that he can't hear us the first time we say them? I think we say it twice to let him know, like, yo, I mean this. I want this for her, right? And that's just what I did. I said my first prayer strong. And then just before finishing the second prayer that I worded a little bit differently, I felt a bump on my shoulder. So I'm praying hard. After the first prayer, second prayer is coming in. I'm rewording it in a better way, and I feel a bump on my shoulder. And it's Victoria trying to get out of the pew to go to the altar. I was so hype. I exclaimed. I said, let's go. In that moment when she bumped me, I said, let's go. I had Malachi in my hands. I was just ready. I was feeling juiced up. And because God legit answered the prayer right in front of me. And as much as who knows if she was going to go with or without my prayers. But I'll tell you one thing. Some other people in that row were praying for her too. I'm just saying. And if you know her like I know her. And you told me that she went to the altar a few months ago. If you told me that, I'd be like, you crazy. She ain't go to no altar. You know what I mean? Because that's how powerful God is. And it's nothing about her per se. It's just about the power of God, right? So she went down there. And I have to tell you guys this too. Another inside baseball. My father-in-law, Sarge, was out of town for 2 weeks in Alaska, right? So this was his first Sunday back in a while. And for him to experience this as a father, dang, wow, God is good, right? What a blessing. So she went down there. And she went to the altar and she was center of the row just looking up at Tommy. And man, what an experience in my soul. My favorite song is playing at my church that I love while I just started Bible school, while I just had the night before was incredible, which I'm going to share with you guys later. And my family is coming to God even harder and deeper. Why? Is it because that's what I'm doing? Is that because I'm seeking him and trying to bring them along with me? And here's the thing, y'all. I want to have one thing in common with people right now in this season. And that's Jesus. If you love Jesus in a way, any type of way similar to me, which means a lot, or at least trying to think about your faith and grow in that faith and get on a deeper level, that means I care about you more than I care about most people. It means I feel like we have more in common. I feel like we can go deeper on conversations, and it's just the truth. And I think Victoria needs Jesus right now because she's a beast at what she does when she puts her mind to it. Imagine who she'd be if she had Jesus with her in all things she did. Right? She's a bodybuilder, and she gets trophies. She gets trophies. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ. Imagine how many more trophies she'd have with Jesus at the center at all times. But she needs Jesus the same way I need Jesus, right? I'm not just over here saying she needs Jesus. I have Jesus. She needs Jesus. No, I'm saying that I'm a lot better person with him than without him. And that's my message for people. That's my message. And that's what I hope is what defines me as a spiritual leader. God is using me in this podcast and in the hands I am touching right now. And one day he may just use me for a book. One day he'll use me to maybe minister to the youth. One day he'll use me to do a comedy show to somebody that needs to hear about Jesus for the first time. It may just be little one-on-ones with people that he uses me for. And I may just be an influence on the way people view a pursuit. You see, guys, some people want to influence others with their body. We see that a lot on Instagram. Some people want to influence people with their body. I want to influence others with my pursuit. And by that, I want to lead people to the only God I'm pursuing. It's his glory, not mine. Because of the beautiful chain of events that God lays out for us over time, by me moving here, to me living right behind a church when I moved here and I didn't even see the house we were moving into in person. It was all pictures and a thumbs up from my mother-in-law, right? But the church that we go to and fell in love with is right behind the house we moved to. And to me doing stand-up on stage in front of people for 3 years, to me making the right connections and networking and just knowing that business is a stepping stone, to me finding Jesus, to me starting a podcast, to me getting baptized, to me going to Bible school, to me getting more plugged into the church, to me just being a link in the story of people coming to Jesus. I just want to be that seed. I just want to be the seed, the bird seed. The bird seed, y'all. This is a Godcast, not a podcast. It is bigger than a podcast. I think we know that. I think we're all on the same page with that. We are a little ministry. We're the I Like Birds ministry. We are the birdhouse. We're spreading the good name of Jesus in our weekly lives, some of us even in our daily lives. And I appreciate you guys. I really do. And some of you guys actually listen to every episode or majority of them all. And you guys already know what I'm about to tell you. But I did stand-up comedy again. Oh my gosh. It was a great feeling. I did on Saturday, the day before that heavy Sunday, which is ironic, right? I think it's ironic. But anyway, so I'll tell you guys a story. So it was that Saturday. So I had to work the lunch shift at my new spot. Which is Doc B's. It's a fine dining restaurant. I'm a server there. It's hustle and bustle, all right? It's wear a mask and gloves, go hard, all right? So I got out of a super busy day at work. Like, I got rocked. I was busy as can be in my mind for like 75 minutes that day where I could barely even get a sip of water. And I grunted it out, and I got out of my workplace, and I was exhausted and excited all at the same time. Because I was on my way to perform stand-up comedy for the first time in 7 months. And keep in mind, I thought stand-up comedy was going to be done for a while, where I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And this time, it's going to be different about stand-up comedy when I perform it. This time, I'm going to tell people about Jesus a quarter of the way into my set. And I did a Bird Talk episode recently called My New Stand-Up Comedy Testimony. If you've heard it, I appreciate it. And that's what I did. I did what you heard in that episode on stage for the most part. And, of course, I winged some of it and forgot some of the things I wrote and just added some other things. And, man, it was just awesome. It was so awesome, man. I received 2 applause breaks in the middle of a mall. In the middle of a mall. It was special, man, and it was something that I couldn't believe happened. And then I did my closer, which is like the last joke you do after the testimony. I did my closer, and it did super well after they knew my heart, and that closer wasn't always like the closer. A lot of times it didn't work. It was very hit or miss, and because my closer was a joke that I used to do about going to church, and it was all very connected to, and the whole set, man, really was connected to Jesus throughout, right? And my goodness, it was just such a great experience. There will be a video out of it soon. I don't know. I hate watching myself on video, but I mean, I'll post it if you guys want to go find it or go watch it. I'll put it on YouTube to make it a little bit more of an experience instead of just probably Facebook video or Instagram or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know what my plan is with the video yet. I haven't seen it. I might not even watch it. I might just post it and say, hey, you guys watch it. But the testimony, man, it was great though. Like, people were moved. You can tell they were listening. They were fascinated. It didn't get a bunch of laughs. It had a few funny moments in it, but the message that was spread through that testimony was joy, man. And I had nearly 15 people in the crowd, plus fellow comedians that just really enjoyed it, man. You can just tell the love that I got after that. Man, it really affected people. People were listening, and their hearts were open and their ears were open. And I actually got to give out the podcast business cards after the show, and I just received so much more love from the people just telling me how they enjoyed the set and congratulations, and just real words of encouragement from today. Strangers that, it feels like we're so divided as a country, especially online. And it was just awesome to see people coming together that I didn't even know and just showing love for something bigger than myself, right? And it was just such a better definition of stand-up comedy to me. Like, it had purpose. And the feeling after was what I've kind of been chasing for 3 years as a comic. To be honest, is just bringing people to the Lord, and laughter is an energy I want to continue being in. Like, it was a really cool experience to just combine the two and merge them together. And dude, let's see where stand-up takes me now. Let's see where God takes me next. Let's see where God takes Abigail next. Let's see where God takes Victoria next, and then the whole Sargent family, and then the whole Birdhouse. Let's see what God does in our lives next. Your life, my life. Let's keep on the faith journey. You grow as I grow. Keep sharing the show. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. And also, I'll be honest with you guys, I was supposed to put out Rise Again Like Lazarus episode, but man, I had to share this with you, and it had to come out on Tuesday so you can feel the true effect of this past weekend. And I always like to put out the heavier episode on Tuesday, just so it gets more airtime, between the days, because most people don't really listen to podcasts on the weekends. That's just kind of how it is. It's usually like Monday through Thursdays, the main days when people listen and whatnot. But dude, please come back for that episode, because it's a great one. I just really wanted to share this one with you guys because it was so personal and so exciting, and such an experience of a weekend, man. Like, that was the first time I went to church and the Holy Spirit moved like that, to the point where it was contagious, where it was just like, it wasn't about you at all. Like, those people raised their hand, but it was for Jesus, and it was just so cool. And I can't wait to experience that again. And I'm just so grateful for Calvary Church in Fort Worth, man. If you live in Texas and you listen to this show, dog, what are you waiting for? Come to Calvary Church. You're gonna your life is gonna change going there, man. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast, man. As always, share the show. Let's keep on growing. I tried to rhyme it at the end earlier. It sounded way better the first time than just now. But dang, guys, what a weekend, right? God is doing some big things right now. And shout out to everybody that was a part of it, man. It was crazy, man. This week I got some cool stuff coming up. I'm going to the youth night for the first time at church, and I got the men's Bible study on Wednesday. And I really like that, just because, I mean, it's part of my internship to kind of just be around at the church. I feel like, it hasn't really been said of like, hey, this is what we need. So I've just been kind of around, right? And just kind of getting more plugged in. And I feel like it's only been better. and more opportunities have opened, and just it feels more organic. It feels like I'm trying to figure out what it's going to be like once I'm basically on staff at a church, if that is the calling that God has for me. And it's just been cool, and I encourage you to get involved in your church a little bit more. If you want to get baptized, dude, do it. It's a gratifying feeling, and it's a great way to start your walk with Jesus on an even higher level, right? It's on a different frequency, I feel like. And I call this episode Day One because think about it, y'all. This is the reason behind the meaning of this show. It's called Day One, because Abigail's on day one, Victoria's on day one, and I'm on day one of doing comedy again with talking about Jesus in my set. So it was a big weekend. It was the weekend of the Day One, and I encourage you guys to keep growing in your faith and keep coming back to the show. And if this is your first time here, guys, subscribe to the show. Make this a part of your weekly life. I promise you, it is deeper than a podcast. We get real every weekend, all right? Every week. I don't know why I said weekend. I got hype, but we get real. We get fun. We have some good times. Such an experience being able to minister to you guys and laugh with you guys and make you laugh and just see the messages that are coming in. Shout out Megan. She sent me a really great message. Hopefully she's back for another episode from my previous job at Bar Taco. And man, just so much greatness has just been coming through the airwaves of the Lord, man. And couldn't be happier. Couldn't be more grateful. Couldn't feel like I'm more on the right path. And I just appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity to just tell you guys how much I think Jesus is dope, and just living my life and being able to share about it with you guys, because, man, that social media stuff is for the birds, man. Every time I write a post, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a post that's kind of cool, kind of deep. Hopefully it reaches some people, but I really feel like it doesn't reach people the way this does or the way a book does. So I only do the social media stuff for right now to promote this and just to promote the journey. And I'm trying to be a voice for Jesus and just a spiritual leader and a towering intellect of the Bible, so we can have dreams, right? But hey, if you guys are some prayer warriors, I need some prayers, man. I need to be disciplined with these books and this curriculum that I got, because guys, I like to write so much. I wrote a chapter of my book today. I also wrote this episode, which was 30 minutes long. So that's, 3,000 words, plus the chapter I wrote today that was like 2,000 words. So I like to write and do podcasts a lot. Like, it's my favorite thing to do in my free time. So please pray that I'm disciplined enough to put my face in the book and just gain the most out of it as I can. And I have so much to share with you guys from what I am learning. It's just so much other stuff has happened in this last weekend. So just pray for this season of life, man. I'm trying to get through this thing. I know that I'm going to do well in it. I just also need the discipline of like, hey, this is when you sit down and you read and you don't go off on a tangent and start writing something that's going to take 30 minutes, because that's what I do. I read something, I'm like, I get inspired, and then I'll just go write. So maybe just some discipline for the school books, prayers, and just that season of the internship would be awesome. And pray for Abigail and Victoria for me, that this Day One turns into Day Two and Day Three and Day 4 and Day 5 and Day 6 and Day 7. Next thing you know, we're like Day 30, 90, 180, 365, So I get kind of hype, as you can tell. But I love you guys, man. I appreciate you guys always. Keep sharing the show. I just got a message from Megan from Bar Taco that was super nice. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but she sent me a great message that her and her mom are a fan of the show, so that's so cool. And I send out the podcast to a few people. I gave the podcast to some of the audience members at the Louisville Mall. Hopefully they tuned in. I've been giving the podcast to people at my job at Doc B's. We start talking Jesus at my tables. Hopefully they tune into the show. And man, it's just been so cool to just be proud of what I do. When it came with stand-up, a lot of times I didn't really tell people because it sounded so egotistical to just be like, oh yeah, I do stand-up comedy. And then they're like, oh, tell me a joke funny, man. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, is this the life I'm going to live for the rest of my life, of just hearing people say that, but this feels more meaningful. This is more like, I mean, clearly it's more meaningful. That's so obvious, but it's more meaningful as far as like how I feel about it when I talk about it. You know, like my spirit lights up when I talk about Jesus, and I want other people to really get inspired by the pursuit that I'm on, and to lead them in that way. So you guys are helping me do that. Is kind of what I'm getting at. And man, we're getting off on a tangent right now. This has been a lot of this has been off the cuff, and normally I'm very like I got stuff kind of planned out. But this is just me expressing the story that happened this weekend and like the heart that I feel about it. And I hope you enjoyed this one, man. I told you we're gonna get deep. If it's your first time here, subscribe to the show. And if you love this episode, maybe write a review on Apple. The more people that write a review, the more people that see it and find it, aka more people that find the show, find Jesus. And that's what we need as fellow believers. We need more kingdom seekers. So do me that solid if you can. And be on the lookout. Your boy got some magnets for you if you need some magnets. I'll send you a magnet to your house. You could put it at your work fridge like my sister-in-law Lauren did, which was super cool, and hopefully it helps spread the podcast even more. I even got bumper stickers. If you want a bumper sticker, I would never ask you to put a bumper sticker on your car, but if you feel that passionate about the show and you have a car that you don't care for because you don't live for your car, you live for God, and you want an I Like Birds podcast bumper sticker, let me know, bruh, because I will send one to you for free. I'll send you a few for you and whoever else you know that'll put one on. Dude, I'll tell you guys a funny story real quick. All right, this is going long, but I'll tell you a funny story. I was watching a movie with Catherine the other night, and I just got my bumper stickers in. And I was like, man, nobody's going to stink and put a bumper sticker on their car of I Like Birds podcast. You know, not nobody, but hardly anybody, right? So I was like, hey, we live by a Love's gas station where there's like a bunch of semis, right? That park there, and they go inside and they take showers and they buy Subway and they do their thing at the Love's gas station. So I was like, hey, what if I went to the Love's gas station and I put I Like Birds bumper stickers on all the trucks? And she was like, I don't think you should be creeping around a lot full of semi trucks. And I was like, you're so right. That's why I married you. She's so logical. I didn't even think of that. I was just like, how can I get as many people to hear about this show as possible? Put it on a truck. Truck goes all around the world. They make stops at red lights. People look at the back of trucks. They see the podcast. They click the podcast. They subscribe. They love the podcast. They find Jesus. All because I put bumper stickers on their trucks at the Love's gas station. But when she said, I don't think you should be creeping around a lot full of semi trucks, that was so funny. She's the greatest. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, man. For real. Don't forget, Rise Again Like Lazarus is coming out on Friday. So be on the lookout for that. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best members of the Birdhouse possible. And keep living for Jesus. All right. See ya.